Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts. Hello everybody and welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, special edition triggering Alexa devices all over the world, where we're talking about the show called Echo. I am Sam. Joining me is the Marvel superfan herself, it's Kaylee.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. What did you think about the theme? Because I sort of put the snippet there on our intro.
I love it. Do you know what? The soundtrack to this was great.
Yeah.
The music was really, really good. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed the music in this one.
Yeah, no, me too, actually. It was just funny because I was trying to find the clip to put in, and I was like, I can't find it anywhere. And then eventually when I did, I ended up listening to the whole thing. so I like this song. But yeah, so we are talking about the Marvel series Echo. Now, it's me and thee, which means I can't do my traditional trying to put Stefan on the spot for the show title names. So my understanding is you want to do this to me.
I'm going to do it to you.
Bring
Are we going to do it, or are you going to go all in one hit?
Yeah, all in one hit, because we're going to talk about it is one kind of thing, rather than breaking it down episodically.
Okay, right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sam.
Yes.
And the title of the episodes were?
Okay, that was very good. People will be asking for you to do that in future now. Okay, so we got 5 episodes, which is a talking point in itself, which we'll come on to. But episode 1, I'm just going to caveat this and apologise. If I get this pronunciations wrong, I'm really sorry. I believe episode 1 is Chafa, or Chafa, C-H-A-F-A. How would you say that?
Chafa.
Yeah, Chafa, okay. Episode 2 was Lowak, L-O-W-A-K. Again, I think I'm saying that hideously wrong. I apologise. Episode 3 is Tuklo, T-U-K-L-O. Tuklo.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is Talau, T-A-L-O-A. Taloa. Episode 5's Maya. I got that one.
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh, God.
Although I probably would have said Maya if I didn't know the character. So there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first discussion point I want to bring up is the episode. So when this show was announced, it was a spin-off from the Hawkeye series, which we both enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 6-episode series of Hawkeye, which is the kind of format they seem to settle into at that point. And they have done for multiple series since. But prior to that, they were trying to aim for sort of 12 or 10 episodes. If you look at The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that did get cut down because of COVID. But that was announced as well. Now, so when Echo was announced, it was 12 episodes. They then, when they did the kind of date confirmation of when it was coming out, said, oh, it's actually going to be 10. And I think everyone just kind of accepted that because it's like the format for Disney Plus shows had changed by that point. You know, everyone kind of knew. It was like, oh, okay, it's still going to be 10 sort of episodes. So it's going to be quite an episodic show. When it got moved again, because of the writers' strikes, the next update was it was going to be 6 episodes, which brought it back in line with Secret Invasion, Hawkeye itself, and various other shows. So again, everyone just kind of looked at that and went, oh, okay, that's... it's clearly, you know, they couldn't finish his filming as much as they did because of the strikes. They've now decided, oh, actually, we're going to do 6 because that's our new format. And it was like, okay, right, fine, that's where we're at. So it was quite surprising. The other thing I should stress is the other thing they really wanted to put across about this show was the TVMA rating, which for UK listeners is basically saying it's adult, it's an 18, sort of 15 to 18 certificate for us here. Something that would be on past 9 p.m. in the UK. And the TVMA rating in the US, obviously, nothing else on Disney Plus. It had from the Disney Plus original series. I've had that. To get that rating, you need to go back to the Marvel Netflix shows, Daredevil, etc. And when you learn that Kingpin character, who's from that world, that street level New York, the Defenders, world, was going to be a big part of this, and we obviously knew he was in Hawkeye and this character Maya. I think everyone kind of had this expectation with that age rating, the characters that are going to be in it, of the show being very similar to those shows, which is sort of New York crime, down street level, very gritty sort of thing. And then they said we were going to drop all the episodes at once, which again was a Netflix thing. So again, everyone's got that. Oh, okay, they're going to try and mirror that format. Interesting. So then, of course, but unlike Netflix, where it was 12 to 13 episodes a season, and then it kind of dropped to 10 as Netflix standard because of Amazon doing it, they dropped it all the way down to 5 when they released it. It surprised me. It was kind of strange. So announcement at 12, confirmation of the date at 10, with the removal of the date it was 6, and then when it actually released it was 5. Did that? What do you think about it? Do you think that's kind of like a symptom of Disney Plus kind of gradually cutting all these things down full stop, or do you think there was a content part of this? Because when I watched the 5 episodes, which we'll go into, it did kind of feel like perhaps there was a B storyline somewhere that got cut. Just my feeling anyway. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, 5 does feel like a very random number. It's not, and that might be because we're so used to having 6 or 12.
Yeah.
5 just doesn't feel like a whole number. No. And they were quite short episodes, so I didn't actually ever really think about what you just said. Perhaps they'd cut a whole kind of subplot within the show, which, if that's what they've done, that's fine. I didn't get that, but now you mention it, maybe that's correct. It was enough. I don't think it needed to be dragged out. And actually, when I was looking at the new title banner of Marvel Spotlight, that is a whole new range of shows almost that they're coming up with, that almost kind of feel like very standalone, very not necessarily one-shot type things, but it's something that you can just pick up and watch without having to worry about anything else. So I wonder if it's just kind of a way for them to keep it contained, Well,
to be honest with you, the Spotlight thing and all that kind of thing, again, triggered my kind of curiosity, and I made a note of that because, like you, that came up on episode 1. I thought, okay, that's interesting because remember the thing you loved, Halloween, Werewolf by Night, was it?
Yeah, that was a special.
Yeah, that was a special presentation. It's like a one-off kind of, here's a story from Marvel Comics, here's a group of characters, and it didn't tie to anything else. It hasn't linked to anything else, not yet.
Not yet.
But that is kind of like saying, okay, monsters are in this as well, right? So this is part of the MCU, and we're just showing you this. And then maybe we'll reference it elsewhere. Let's see if people like it. But they did it in a very kind of, they did the noir kind of, so the black and white. They did it. It was a special presentation, seemed to really suit that, if that makes sense. That really made sense, and it was kind of a one-off. Vast majority of people really enjoyed it. Even the people who didn't really enjoy it were kind of like, that is so weird, but I want to watch it again. So that was kind of crazy. So with this, I was kind of like, okay, are they gonna, when they release things all in one go, is that what this is going to be called? Do you see what I mean? It's like, okay, you're not releasing this episodically. You've done like a short run, mirroring the kind of Netflix, Amazon, what they do. So here's all the episodes, and this is going to be a showcase. That's what that is. But like you said about a sort of standalone kind of thing, it doesn't though. It is heavily tied to Hawkeye, to the point that one of my notes is I've seen a lot of this footage before. And obviously it then ties quite strongly to Daredevil, Born Again, because of Wilson Fisk character, Kingpin. Even the after credits scene ties it in quite strongly. So again, I'm kind of. Do you see what I mean? I'm just kind of. I'd love it if they actually kind of said like, okay, we're changing up our TV format. You're going to get these shows now, which we want to go more episodic, which is what they've said with Daredevil Born Again. They've said, look, we're changing. Because what they come out and say, I don't know if you've seen this. Sorry, I'm rambling now. But basically, what they've said is with the Disney Plus shows, they kind of had film concepts, and then they broke the film concept down into episodes, which is why the run times are all over the place. Is why
Yeah.
sometimes we've looked at it and gone, that was an odd place to end an episode, or like that was a strange thing. And they've kind of filmed them like a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour movie, and then cut it into episodes. And they're changing that. They're actually bringing in TV writers, and they have done. And the big change came with the Daredevil Born Again. So for those not aware, the character was reinvented on Netflix. This is not the Ben Affleck version. Please note, everyone put that idea in the bin. This character was recreated by Marvel Studios in association with Netflix. It stayed on there for the length of time they agreed with Netflix. When that finished, it came to Disney Plus. They have officially put all of those shows, which is the Defenders saga, into the MCU timeline now, confirming they are all canon. So all of these characters exist in the world of the MCU. We did see Matt Murdock Daredevil appear in Spider-Man No Way Home, so we know this is now all linked together, etc. That character, Daredevil Born Again, they announced was going to be like a proper TV 40-minute episodes, sort of the old-fashioned hour slot with adverts. And they said, like, this is going to be episodic again. We're writing it for TV. And they announced it. I think they announced it like 18 episodes. And it's still slated at 18 episodes everywhere you look. They filmed 5. Kevin Feige returned from Lucasfilm, and everyone knows that he came back and sort of had a look at everything and went, what the and he fired everyone involved after 5 episodes. I don't think you can get a bigger burning kind of this is not going the way I saw it than literally walking in, watching the footage and firing everyone involved. There's a fact to this is that happened. They replaced it with the directors from Loki season 2, who I thought did a great job, and the showrunner who was part of the Netflix saga for all of these. The last one he was involved in was the Punisher seasons 1 and 2. So is someone who understands this episodic TV format, which is what they're going for. And they're now back refilming, and there's been massive changes to it. So it kind of, what I'd like them to do is like to say to us like, special presentations are one-offs, like an hour special.
Yeah.
Spotlights are going to be where we drop a certain amount of episodes all on the same day, and then you can really look at this and we're just shining a spotlight on this character. It kind of works. Yeah. And then we've got the series, which are going to be, this kind of format. I mean, I get why they're not doing that, because then it kind of ties their hands, but it's just a little bit confusing to...
I mean, the spotlight for me is exactly what you just said. It's almost like they can dip in to hundreds and hundreds of Marvel characters, do a thing, link it in some minute way if they want to, and then you can kind of dip in and out. It's a really quick, easy way for them to kind of bring new characters in. I think everybody has been quite vocal about, we're bored of the Avengers and we're bored of this, we're bored of that. So this is a really easy way for them to just go, right, shut your eyes, finger on a map type thing, and say, right, now we're going to look into this characters. You can get some really obscure characters
big time,
into the mainstream. So to have this spotlight, I think is quite good. Okay. It's quite a good idea.
It'd be interesting to see it'd be interesting to see what comes next with that, or whether, because I mean, I'll be gutted if that logo's just on everything now. It's like, we're just branding all the TV shows there, so I'll be like, I really overthought this.
But I really do not, even the logo itself, I really like.
Me too.
Like the style of it and stuff. It was it did stand out.
That's the funny thing. There's probably a lot of people listening to this like, spot what? Where was that? What are you on about? because
Yeah.
me and the sort of spot things like that. It's like, oh, that's great. I like that. That's really clever. And I sort of made a little note.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Marvel Spotlight. Whereas everyone else, the title cards on, they're probably looking at their phone,
Yeah.
checking
Waiting
it,
for it to start.
just still getting their food and snacks in front of them. So we kind of discussed that. So that's kind of fun. I wanted to kind of do that. I mean, the like I said, the feeling for me with this and the kind of something being cut, I think possibly was in my head because the
Hmm.
show right up until the few days before release was 6 episodes, and then all of a sudden was 5, which is really like that's odd. Like I got the 12 to 10, like they were adjusting everything. Then I got the 10 to 6, they've adjusted everything like that, and I thought, well, they've had all the strikes, that kind of makes sense. But then to like almost like an episode's missing, and when you see the run times, they were actually pretty consistent, which for Disney Plus is kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
then there was one, like, so it's like 49 was the opening, then it drops to 39, but then it was like 39, 42, and you're like, okay, that's actually pretty consistent. And then 29.
Mm.
And you're like, well, hang on, that's kind of, that is quite an actual significant change. Everything else is kind of, we've got this format, it's working. We've given a little bit more to the intro because you need that little bit more information to kick off with. But then we're TV format, around the 40-minute mark. But the finale, no, that's not that. We're just gonna make that really quick.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. When you factor in the fact they had an after credit as well, it's actually really fast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like there was some part or something somewhere that perhaps the episode there is the finale, but there was one before it that was sort of had this B story or something that they were like, nope, yoink, take out every mention of that quick. And the
Yeah.
reason why that's in my mind is because of not long before this happened, of course, they announced that the film schedule for this year is now just one film.
Mm.
It's going to be Deadpool 3, and that's it. Now, everyone was expecting Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts. However, both are having to have massive reshoots. And the reason for that, as this has now been revealed, is because there are characters in Captain America 4 who are based in Israel, Gaza. And they've looked at that and gone, nope, not the time.
Makes sense. Makes perfect
Completely
sense.
understand why they're doing it.
Absolutely. Can you imagine the
Yeah, no, just
outcry?
not.
Yeah.
You just don't want to get like, I know it's set in a fictional kind of thing, but no, it's just not
No.
worth it. They got
No.
enough backlash with Secret Invasion discussing the whole Russia invasion
Yeah.
thing. There's just no way you want to touch this at all. So I completely understand that. Thunderbolts apparently ties quite heavily, so I'm guessing if they're adjusting one, they've got to adjust the other. So it kind of makes sense. So it's like, okay, completely get it. You're pushing them back to the following year, making 2025 a kind of crazy year because based on the schedule at the moment, there's going to be 7 releases. So I reckon they might move a few around.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so that kind of all made sense. So that was in my head then when, of course, this happens. I'm thinking, oh, I wonder. I wonder
Yeah.
if there's something in that that's a bit too close to the knuckle for something that's happening. Possibly just something that's happening in the States that, the whole world wouldn't get, but plenty of Americans would.
Yeah.
That they've just gone, do you know what? Just take that one out. Just take that one out. Yeah, that one. No, don't. Let's not rock the boat because I imagine you probably would become suddenly very conscious of everything, wouldn't you? Like if that big high profile things happen and you've had to go, nope, reshoot, re-edit. Let's quickly check everything we've got coming down the line because
Yeah.
the
I
last thing
wonder
we want to do is wind
if
everyone up.
it's probably something political given the
Yeah,
end credit. That's
that's
all I'm
kind.
gonna say.
It's kind of what I was thinking as well. Yeah. All right, we'll go there at the end.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you to kick off straight away, and
Yeah.
it's probably a question which is gonna leave you stumped as much as it did me. Um, the main thing about this, or the main villain, if you like, in this show, I say the main villain, it's very simplistic, is Wilson Fisk.
Yeah.
Now, the first time you really met this character was in Hawkeye, I believe, because
Hmm.
you'd not watched the Marvel Netflix stuff. I know you tried a couple, but didn't get into it.
Yeah. Well, I like Jessica Jones and was good. I didn't watch
Yeah,
Daredevil.
yeah, you've got a real issue with that character thanks to
I
Ben
have.
Affleck, haven't you?
Yeah.
I need to get you past that. I
I
really
know, I
do.
can't. I'm struggling.
I'm gonna do this. This is my mission for this year. It's like I'm gonna get you past this. I may even have to bring in Charlie Cox himself to talk to you.
All right.
Well, he's in Bristol a lot. He's got an acting school in Bristol. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's one of the
If you
patrons.
can
He's
convince
patrons
me,
for the
I'll watch it.
Bristol Old Vic. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
he's here a lot. Yeah,
Oh.
my
Tell
my
him to come to tea, and
my
I'll
daughter
think
has
about
met
it.
him. Yeah,
Oh.
and said he's not blind. Yeah, I know. That's the first thing she said. So the question for you is: you obviously you met Wilson Fisk, Kingpin in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
You saw the end of that where you don't see it, but you know Maya shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
How's he alive?
So
So I really wanted them to answer that in this thing, and I don't feel like they did unless I really missed something. So
no,
this was my opening question.
so there was something that I didn't question it, because there's something that's happened, whether it's on another show or in real life, where somebody has been shot in the head or in the face and they've survived.
Yeah.
So for me, being shot in the head is a very survivable thing if you're shot in the right or wrong place.
In the right direction, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I didn't question it. I kind of already knew, obviously, that he was at the end of Hawkeye, that he's not dead.
Yeah,
So,
I think. I mean, that would have been a much bigger thing.
medically, it's entirely feasible. So I didn't pull at that thread at all, and I don't intend to. He got shot, he missed, and it. He was lucky. That's all I'm saying.
So I will say to you, I have a theory, and they didn't confirm it in this, but I have a theory. So again, now we know this is all canon. In the Marvel Netflix stuff, the guy is a brute. He's huge, and he fights like a brute. But he's not powered, if that makes sense. He is just a big, strong guy who has got this, fierce temper, like a scary guy. He is. And so when he fights and everything and that, you know he's not powered, but it's just you just can't imagine beating him. Look at the size of the guy and the way he fights, and he has everyone around him and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So in Hawkeye, there's this scene where he goes to confront Kate Bishop's mother, and he rips the door off the hinge of a car. Now, don't get me wrong, I think if you're strong enough, you can do stuff like that. World's Strongest Men can definitely do it. But I don't know if you remember this, but me and Stefan said at the time, it was like, that you've almost like powered him up at that point. And Kate like put arrows in him and stuff like that, and like hit him pretty hard, and he just kept coming. So I had this theory. Do you remember all the way back to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Power Broker? And she had someone working on a version of the Super Soldier Serum, and then it leaked out, and a group of them got a hold of it. I think Fisk has had that, and it would explain that extra bit of strength he had, that extra bit of durability he had compared to previous shows, and also would explain how he could get shot in the head and not comfortably. Obviously, he was in a coma for a long time, but it would certainly clarify how the guy survived that, and sort of came out the other side. And I'll tell you, I'll just finish why this is my theory. In that after credit, he says to his assistant, we need to get together the surviving heads, like the people, the other crime people. And he says that's where we need a meeting. And in my head, I was thinking, who is there? Who is out there? Who is kind of thing? And the Power Brokers just jumped to my mind. And I kind of thought to myself, what a brilliant tie-in that would be if you kind of had this street-level TV shows, which we're going to get, and the Defenders exist, this group of heroes who come together to deal with, street-level threats. Imagine now we get a group of villains, if you like, coming together because of the blip. The Power Broker, she seized all of that and everything because of the blip. She was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. before that. Now she's this power broker, crime, global crime for arms and all this stuff. And now you've got Fisk, and so that tied in my brain straight away. So that's my theory. There we go. How do you think I've done? Do you think I'm reaching?
No, I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I don't think it was necessarily entirely obvious, but I can see how you got there.
I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but yes, well done. You've explained it well. So we're going to talk about this show as a whole. So I'm going to come to you and sort of talk about it as a whole. When I finished watching the 5 episodes, I think I put in our group chat, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I'm not sure if I really didn't like it, or if the show was just very different to what I had in my mind. Therefore, that's why I feel like I don't like it, if that makes any sense to anyone. So in my head, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, I saw the TVMA rating. I saw the fact they were going to drop all the episodes at once. I knew that it was set in this kind of Netflix Marvel style because of Kingpin and this character Echo. And I knew Daredevil was going to appear. So I kind of had it in my head, okay, this is going to be New York, street level crime. It's going to be hard hitting, quite violent. So I had that in my mind of being very similar to those shows. And it wasn't that. To me, this felt like an origin story for Maya, if that makes sense, as this character, which I thought we'd already had, if that makes sense. Like, I thought, well, I've met her, I've had the origin for her, I've seen the flashback to what, happened to her father, and we know the association with Fisk and how he kind of manipulated her all those years. I kind of felt like I had that, I knew who she was. And now they're giving me 5 episodes to tell me, yeah, you kind of know, but you don't know. So now you know.
Now you know.
Yeah. And so I think that was what was on my mind. Like, I finished it and just kind of was like, I don't feel like I've moved forward. I feel like all I've done is gone back over her origin and gone, oh yeah, you missed this bit first time. Now check it out. So it's a weird thing. Like, I didn't not enjoy it, but it just wasn't what I was expecting, which then you got to kind of fight against a little bit. And then at the end of it, I kind of felt, forgetting the after credit, because obviously that ties to stuff. So just focusing on her as the character, the title character, I was kind of like, okay, so I've had her story again. Like, I'm now concerned I'm going to get another series where all they do is just do, okay, now this is what you missed last time. You're going to get like 50 origins. It's like when you see Uncle Ben die for like the 50th time in the new Spider-Man. It's like, no, stop killing Uncle Ben's.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was where I was and where I was kind of conflicted, and possibly that's what's going to come across when I'm talking about it. But for you, you didn't, you knew the Marvel Netflix stuff, like you watched some of them, so you knew the kind of tone. What was your expectation, and how do you feel it kind of delivered? What do you think overall?
I think because obviously you watched it first, and you
I did.
made that statement, I was a bit worried going in.
Oh, whoops.
But you know me, I avoid trailers like the plague. I really do. I don't like to watch them. I don't like to go in with any kind of preconceived idea of what's going to happen. I don't like any spoiling moments.
No.
From the trailers that you sometimes get. So I was just a bit concerned that it was going to be a bit slow and a bit samey. But actually, you know what? I really enjoyed it. It like you wasn't what I was expecting, like the whole New York style brutish mob style show. But do you know what? I'm really glad. I've got my old friend Jess for that. Absolutely love that show. And that style. But what I really enjoyed was for me, like learning about the whole Native American aspect, and we wouldn't have got that had they done it in New York.
Just a very, very quick side note before you carry on. There was a strong rumor about 2 weeks ago that 2 of the main characters from Daredevil were being brought back. It's now confirmed. They're in it. They're in the cast list on IMDb, and they've been seen filming on site. So it's now confirmed. The same person who broke that story a couple of weeks ago said yesterday that the Netflix castings of Iron Fist, Danny Rand, Kristen Witter for Jessica Jones, and Coulter for Luke Cage have all been re-signed to Marvel deals.
Oh, I'm very excited about Luke.
So that, yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's I don't, it's kind of, again, sorry, this is a tangent, apologies everybody, but I saw this meme about Luke Cage and Jessica Jones coming to Disney, and they're like, yeah, they ain't gonna have the same relationship, are they? I was like, two powered people going at it in Netflix, breaking a house apart. Yeah, I don't see that coming on the Disney Plus. I'm not gonna lie. However, I say that scene has not been cut. The show is on Disney Plus. You can watch it. You have to confirm you're over 18, but you can watch it. So for everyone under 18 watching this, want a bit super powered sex scene at some point, go for it.
Yeah.
And they kind of had a sex scene in Eternal, so perhaps they're heading that way. Perhaps we're only a few years away from OnlyFans Marvel Edition. Anyway, sorry. You were talking about you had the kind of idea, but you were happy. You were actually happy it subverted that. You were happy that it went a different direction.
Yes, and obviously we'd had discussions about a cameo from Charlie Cox. So I was a bit worried that it was going to be all about getting that set up, and again, it wasn't. So that was
true.
Quite.
I thought that cameo was good. I saw a lot of people annoyed that was all we saw of him, but I was like, no, that was perfect. That was all it needed to be.
Yeah. So my feelings on Daredevil, and I must get over it. I know he's not Ben Affleck. I know it's
this is my quest this year for every listener. That by the time we record the Christmas special, you're going to be telling me how great it is.
But because it was so fleeting, it felt a bit gratuitous for me. It was just a way to kind of shoehorn in and make a point.
Well, can I offer a different opinion to that?
Yeah, go.
Because I'm a big fan of the character. I like the idea of him being in it and kind of in it a bit more. So when it was just this one kind of fight scene and done, my initial reaction was like, oh, that's crap. I'd like to have seen him a bit more. But then when I thought about it, what that scene was to give us was to show us that not only was she able to hold her own, which she did, but that was the moment that Fisk kind of set her up.
Yeah.
That was the moment that Fisk went, all of my guys, he beats the crap out of, and I end up, out of pocket all the time. But you stood there because he had the film footage. He set that up. He knew that was going to get hit, and he sent her in. The whole thing, like, hold her own. Can she hold her own? And she did. So for me, his kind of cameo was not for me, he gave her the kind of, for fans of his character and know that backstory. So for me, that gave her real credibility for me, if that makes sense. Because what we'd seen in the Hawkeye series, Hawkeye was that little bit more kind of, we saw her fight quite well, but Hawkeye did win that fight, win it quite well. And of course, Hawkeye's Avenger level. He should win that fight. But when she's there fighting Daredevil, this street level guy who, for me, I've seen, he kicks the crap out of her. And there's a scene in the season 3 where he fights Fisk. It is a brutal, brutal scene. And you look at that and you go, oh, whoa, hang on. she's just gone toe to toe with him and has done really well. And I thought it really set the story up because it almost feels like Fisk has manipulated her entire adult life. And it just set it up perfectly for me that was what that was. It was just that one scene to demonstrate the Fisk sitting back, watching it and going, yeah, great, I need her. And that's why I think it kind of tied into him not wanting to let her go. That whole, we're family, I think that's crap. Fisk just purely wants his weapon because he knows when he makes his moves, to come out of the shadows again, Daredevil's going to be on him. And he wants someone there. That was how I took it anyway. And again, I've just watched one scene and articulated a novel from it. But have I put that in your mind? What do you think, or do you still just like, nah, crap, Ben Affleck, rubbish?
No, I mean, it was fun, and it was a good way for her to kind of showcase her skill. But for me, the way that I saw it was a turning point for her, absolutely. But because I don't have that history and that connection with Daredevil necessarily, it just felt a bit. Well, he's there. Okay, great. I was more excited to see him in She-Hulk, put it that way.
Smashing fourth walls and occasionally Matt Murdock. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
I will. This is my mission this year. We're gonna get this done. This is gonna be a thing, and by the end of it, you're gonna be like, You were right. Which women never tell me, so it'd be amazing if I can get there. One of the things again in this, and it is, I'm just going to focus in on first of all the Fisk aspect. Is one of the things throughout this entire 5 episodes that I guess I questioned a little bit, and I did just say that then about the whole family thing. I'm not buying. I don't think perhaps he loves having a weapon at his disposal. I don't think he loves her. I think he recognised something in her when she was little that he liked. But what do you think? Because it is a strange thing. Like, there's that one scene where she's little, the ice cream vendor's an asshole to her because she's deaf.
That was great.
And Fisk just, that's Fisk. That is that pummeling, beating, and then like gets on the phone to his assistant, I'm covered in blood, I need a new suit, and then there's that scene where Maya sees, isn't freaked out by it, goes and lays the boot in.
Yeah.
And for me, it's almost the moment that Fisk was like, oh, okay, I like you, But so when I just said then like about the family thing, I'm not buying, which I'm still not. There was clearly some reason when she was little, he felt that way about her, some protective thing, because there's been no evidence in anything we've seen in Hawkeye and anything we've seen in this that he was particularly attached to her dad.
No.
There doesn't appear to be any deep connection there that would make sense that you'd then kind of foster this ability. So what do you think this is? Like, it's a strange thing, and it drove him throughout this whole thing that I'm thinking, she shot you in the head, but you seem willing to forgive that until the very last minute when she's actually like, no, I'm not coming with you. And then that's it. She has to go. So it's like I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think it's a mixture of guilt and fear.
Guilt?
I think, yeah. So going back to that scene with the ice cream vendor, she's a small child. Yeah. Anyone with any sense of empathy or emotion, anything, would protect a small child. That doesn't just go away, especially if they're in your life for that amount of time. Yeah. And I think that moment with Daredevil, when he saw that flick, it did change their relationship. But the moment when she decided not to go with him, even before that, it was I would rather have you with me than against me, because
the inside pissing out than outside pissing in kind of
scenario. Absolutely. But I do think, and when she does again later on in the series, makes him kind of go back into his own memories, there is some vulnerability there, and you can see that. So I think that will be fun to explore going forward.
Well, because again, and I mean that going into his memories, that was a big part of his character arc in the Daredevil series. Another good reason for you to watch. he that white room that he's in, hearing his father beat his mother, that is a big part of like this kind of triggers this rage, this inner rage that he has. Maya kind of showing him that, making him confront it. The one thing I did get from that was the kind of vulnerable small child, and perhaps when she was little, and obviously the father was part of the crime family, perhaps that was the only child, being followed around. Perhaps he did feel a kind of, she needs protecting. Because I think what makes villains, especially Fisk from that series, interesting, or what makes them, is when you can kind of look at them and go, I understand why you are that. I can see your point of view. I don't agree with you, but I can see your point of view. And I always think that makes villains more interesting. And I always think, like, I understand his origin. I understand how he got where he is, why he is the way he is. And that makes it more impactful, if that makes sense. When he does stuff that's pure evil, it's like, oh, damn it, I was just starting to think you were all right, or, just something, and then it just has that kind of interesting thing. It's like the anti-hero kind of debate. Like, the best one for that is the Punisher, which is, this is a guy who literally straight up murders people, but he's a hero. And it's a kind of, it's an interesting, like the character and the dynamic of that, and again, that's explored in Daredevil season 2. Another good reason for you to watch it. But yeah, all joking aside, the Fisk thing I find interesting. The dynamic, like, I would not. I'm going to speak candidly for myself. Even if it's my own flesh and blood child has shot me in the head, I'm going to take that as a hint that she doesn't entirely like me. and and so one of the things that I kind of thought would have to be addressed straight away is, why did you shoot me in the head? Because you found out you killed my dad. No, I didn't. Who told you that? You know, I kind of expected that early, but we never got it. It was almost, and I was almost annoyed by that. It's like, surely, if someone shot you in the head and you think you're on the same team, the first thing you're gonna ask, what the hell, dude? Now, obviously, he probably knows, but from flipping it, surely she's got rage. Surely she's like, you're still alive, you son of a bitch. You killed my father. You know? I am Illuminatoria. You killed my father. Prepared to die. I mean, if she said that, I'd have just been in love with the whole show. But what did you think about that? Because they had some really strange scenes, like they had when he showed up, like, and I thought, oh, she's in trouble now. And he's like, oh, I brought dinner. I brought this lovely wine. She pours the wine away, and he seems really pissed about that more than being shot. You know?
Yeah, and again, it goes back to this whole. I think he views their relationship perhaps differently than she does.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
You know, and he kind of thinks, oh, we can just move on. I'll tell you what it is. I've just had a brainwave.
Yeah.
I know where I saw somebody shot in the head and survive. I watched it the other day, and it's almost that dynamic again in this. Is Kill Bill.
Oh, okay,
That's what I was watching.
Yeah,
That's
true.
what I was watching.
You
and
love that film. Yeah.
I love that film, yeah. And it's almost like that. It's this kind of power struggle between two people who genuinely have this hatred and dislike for each other, but are so tied, intrinsically linked through emotion that it's hard on both sides. I think she genuinely thought she'd killed him.
Yeah.
She didn't feel guilty.
No.
And then he's back and he makes her question everything. He's very clever, very manipulative, very, you know, he's not daft.
No, that's what makes him such an interesting character. Because you can watch, and by the way, he's a phenomenal actor. That guy.
I love.
He's in so many things and seems to morph. Like he's in the new what was it? The Magnificent Seven. He's in that, and he plays this character where it's this big hulking bear of a guy. But I remember Stefan watching that, and I said, "Oh, of course that's Kingpin." He's like, "No, it's not. Don't be stupid." I'm like, "No, seriously, look it up. It is." And then he also played the Wizard of Oz in like a remake that he just looks completely bloody different. The guy just seems to morph, and you know, and when he's playing Kingpin, he's obviously wearing the kind of everything to make him like that big guy. But just he's phenomenal, and the way he speaks, his cadence, his kind of. There's like a rage all the time, and it's like a volcano, and you're watching it, just waiting for it to erupt. and he delivers that for me so well. It's interesting, like I was talking about waiting for him to erupt. It took 5 episodes. It took her standing him up on the private jet. But once he did erupt, he kind of, then that was all, the gloves were off. It was kind of like, right, fine, if you're not with me, you're against me. I've tried to make you back with me. I've tried, you know, I've been nice. I bought you dinner. I've not punished you. When people showed up to kill you, which they did at one point, I called them off. You know, this was, you know, because he was out. As soon as he woke up, he was like, nope, she doesn't get killed. You know, this is, I'll deal with it. He then does go full bore shouting, you know, I killed your dad, sort of thing, like trying to, at that point, you know, all the gloves are off, you know. Do you feel again that was frustration at not being able to get her on side? Like, he's the master manipulator and he's not been able to manipulate, so he's just now angry. Or do you think there was a little bit of hurt rejection there? A little bit of kind of like, oh, there is part, you know, in his head, he does love her, you know, whether that is real love that the rest of us would recognise, to him, maybe it is. But
it was a full-scale grown man tantrum.
It certainly was that, yes.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get his way.
Yeah, well, that can happen. I will admit that. Yes.
And it kind of just goes to the core of his personality. You know, he is the Kingpin. He is
Yeah.
the one. You know, and if somebody slights him and he
Yeah.
doesn't get his way, that's it. I'm going to
Yeah.
throw my toys out the pram, and that's absolutely what he did.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So focusing in on Maya, then we talked about the episode titles to begin with.
Mm.
Episode one begins, and there's this flashback, which we then learn is a flashback to her ancestors. I don't know about you. I thought I was watching the wrong show for about 20, 30 seconds, to the point I paused it and was like, what? Hang on,
It,
what am I
it was
watching?
very Avatar-esque, wasn't it?
It was, yes, thank you. That was, and I was kind of confused. And then things developed, and then obviously saw where we were. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a strange opening, but
Mm.
it's obviously going to tie in. There's obviously going to be a reason for that. And then each episode is titled after each ancestor gradually passing down this kind of gift.
Hmm.
And how they used the gift in certain situations, and you see these flashbacks and everything. Once I realised what was happening with that, and I saw episode 5 was Maya, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. I now understand this. Okay, fair enough, thank you. You've laid this road out for me, and I have followed it. Brilliant. Um, what did you think? So, Native American culture is fascinating to me. It was always
Yeah.
something I did history school to large out, and one of the subject matters was American history. And the Native American culture, obviously, their focus then is on what actually happened to them, which is horrific.
Yeah.
But the actual cultural aspect and learning about that are so fascinating. The kind of circle of life aspect and so much amazing kind of folklore and kind of these things. They're just. I'm such a history nerd, so I could bore everyone to tears, so I won't. But it's really fascinating. So that aspect into this series, although I wasn't expecting it, and it really took it from an aspect of the series, like it really took it from where I thought the show was going to go. Once I reflected on it at the end, like after I'd watched them all and I had a few days, and I also noted in the end credits they thanked the members of this community for being so
They
helpful
did. They were
and
really involved.
yeah, and sharing their stories to enable them
Hmm.
to create this, to bring this character from page to screen. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and her kind of the actor who plays her grandfather. I've seen him in loads of stuff, and I love him, which helped
Yeah,
for
he's
me.
great.
He's
Yeah.
brilliant. I love that guy. He's been in everything from Maverick with Mel Gibson, all just like loads of stuff, and he's brilliant in everything.
Yeah.
So that aspect, what do you? So there's two parts to this I want to put to you. One is, what did you think about that and the kind of this character having all of that heritage and all of this, and the way they wove that through the 5 episodes, bringing us to the end.
Mm.
And then the second part I want to come to is this character now has these abilities, kind of like supernatural. I mean, we live in the world of superheroes, so of course we know these things exist and powers exist, etc. But it does change the character a little bit from the one we saw, or the one we thought we already knew, which was this kind of
Mm.
street level crime fighting, and now all of a sudden she's got this, and she was a baddie
Mm.
in Hawkeye, and so this is kind of changed. And so the first part is, what do you think about all that aspect, and then the second part of the question is, what do you think for the character going forward? Where do you see her sitting? So first part, what did you think about all of the kind of Native American heritage and the lore that was woven in?
So I really like that. I like any show that will give me an opportunity to explore something new.
Yeah.
The basics of this stuff, but there hasn't really been anything mainstream that I would have watched that kind of went into that level of detail of
No.
their culture, and it did worry me slightly that it was almost going to be like a caricature type version of what we think Native Americans are, because that's all typically
That
we've
that
really
is
seen.
that is always it's always a worry with anything like this, I think.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it, and actually it's prompted me to go and I've downloaded a couple of books and really got into it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It did kind of throw me like you at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was what am I watching? Hang on, this isn't what I was expecting, but it made total sense.
I think it was because it was literally the intro. I think it just kind of, hey, what?
Yeah,
I'm watching Avatar. I put the wrong thing on.
Yeah, it was a really clever way to bring Maya's abilities to life, and for her to get her name, of Echo. I think that was really clever.
Yeah.
And when you kind of dig into it a little bit, once you start kind of scratching at the whole mythology in Native American history, it's not dissimilar to what we see for other superheroes, with Thor and the whole Norse mythology. It's in every superhero thing we've got.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense to have it done in that way. And actually, I would probably quite like for them to do something similar with the others. But it was done really well. It brought it to the front of everyone's mind, which is always a great thing. In the same way they did with Miss Marvel. I really, really liked when they went to other countries and we got to see all the beautiful food and clothes and the colours, exactly the same, and I loved that. I have seen some very disparaging comments online about that, and I hate it. So I think you kind of scroll past it.
I think unfortunately, and I will try and stay balanced with this. Unfortunately, there has been across a lot of Disney stuff and a lot of studios in general, people have a feel that there's box ticking going on rather than focus on telling a good story. You are shoehorning in characters from every group around the world because you're now box ticking. Now, this wasn't that, not in any sense, and I can say that as someone who calls that out when I do feel it and see it now. But I think because that is such a woven in narrative now for fans, they don't actually give it a chance anymore. So people immediately like, oh, this character's gay, box ticked. It's not like, oh, who's this character? Tell me more about them. It's, there we go, box ticked. What a surprise, you've turned this character this, or you've done this character that. Oh, look, the character in the comics was white, and now it's... So it's kind of like an immediate visceral reaction, which unfortunately you're going to get. And like you just said, I think all you can do with that is kind of go, okay, that's how a lot of people are going to react now, no matter what. So we just got to push past that.
Yeah.
For me, if it's strong storytelling, i.e., it's character driven, there is a rationale, there's a narrative. People could be, orange aliens, and I'm emoting for them. This is the genre of it, because as long as you're telling the story, it doesn't matter what they are, what color, race, gender, any of that just goes out the window because you're focused on the story. And again, this is just my opinion, that if you do that when you're storytelling, then that does normalize everything else, if that makes sense, because no one's focused on it. All they're focused on is the story. And for me, with this, there wasn't an element of box ticking, introducing her character's always been that. Go to the comics. Literally, she is a representation of that. And all they did, like I said, like this just felt like a secondary origin story, which I think it basically is, like you just said. This is how she actually becomes Echo. This is how she gets that name. And
it's just that it's far more meaning, and you know me, love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But there's so much more meaning behind it. The name Spider-Man versus Echo.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Of course, yeah.
I got bit by a spider. Echo. There is something deeply entrenched in her.
I was bit by a spider, and guess what? I'm a man. So yeah. I mean, I did love Tony Stark's. What are you, Spiderling, Spider Boy? No, Spider-Man.
Yeah. But even with her suit, the suit that she gets at the end,
ancestral,
it was so meaningful, and
exactly.
It was the timing of it for her was just perfect. It wasn't, oh, I'm just going to go and put a pair of red tights on. No. It was beautifully done. But there's always people going to pick holes in it, and do you know what? It just go away.
As a podcaster, I pick holes professionally. But for me, there are certain things you look at and you go, oh look, all of a sudden they have a super suit. Wonder where they got that from. Oh, it's that guy from She-Hulk. Clearly, he had his number somewhere. everything in this, they actually laid everything out, and it made sense.
Mm.
Every aspect of it went through. You know, this is this, this is this, this is why this is going on. The oh, was it the bird, and the bird kept
Oh, the bird,
reappearing,
yeah.
and and all of a sudden they explain that, and you're like, oh wow, okay. I now completely understand the relevance of why the grandmother saw that and worried, and then what the daughter, you know, her daughter died, the mother, and pushed
Yeah.
that, you know, and pushed everyone away, including Maya. And it's difficult because all of us have been through families, and unfortunately all of us have been through grief and loss, and it does manifest that way sometimes. You know, you're angry and you got nowhere to put it. An accident is like and then of course she learns, oh, it wasn't an accident, someone did this.
Yeah.
And of course you're going to be angry. You know, you're going to do all these things. And so seeing Maya then come back and kind of have to confront that on top of everything else as well, it was very, you know, this is a show, the TVMA rating perhaps wasn't so much for the street level violence, but more for the sheer emotional kicking you can give yourself if you really dive into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But away from that, there was some pretty good ass kicking as well. I think one of my favourites was the fight on the ice rink,
Oh,
the roller rink. Sorry, it was a
yeah.
roller disco. I quite like that. The country hicks and the guy thinking they got one over, you know, going to earn their money. um, yeah, it was. Yeah,
Oh, the guy that worked at the roller rink.
yeah. He was a proper asshole from minute one when they.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
knew straight away, didn't
it's kind of funny to me, and I really hope this guy's a nice guy. And the reason why I say it is because the only other thing I've ever seen him in was he played a real asshole in the Star Wars The Mandalorian. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, oh no, that's him.
he? You again.
Yeah, it's like as soon as I see him on screen now, I'm just gonna be like, ah, that guy. Ugh. So I really hope in real life he's lovely,
Yeah.
because otherwise he's just being himself, and that's not good.
And it's the same with the guy, I cannot remember his name, the guy who works for Fisk. I really struggled the way he sits on top of the van at the end,
Oh
the
yeah,
Welsh
yeah, yeah,
guy.
yeah,
But I
yeah, yeah,
really struggle. You know my feelings about anyone Welsh.
yeah,
Really
yeah,
struggled because I was just listening to him. And thought, oh, he's Welsh, and then he was an asshole.
yeah. Yeah. If anyone ever wants to really impress Kaylee, send in your Welsh accent. Oh, you will finally get a message back, people.
Yeah.
You may even get the shoes you've been after, the worn socks that gets requested, and all that fun stuff that you lovely people request on a regular basis. What did you think to her character's relationship with Bonnie?
Um, I, I loved it. You know, they're so cute together. But again, it's that hard thing. It's that there's the protector role that she plays.
Yeah,
So I get it. I really do. She was absolutely 100% trying to protect her and herself.
yeah,
You know, it was obviously really hard for her at the end. So, and the young casting, I just got to say, was brilliant.
yeah.
Of the two
Oh
of them.
yeah, God, they didn't. Yeah, they really did cast them well, didn't they?
But it's the girl who plays young Maya is
Yeah.
her real life cousin, which I found out
Didn't
today.
know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which
Right.
makes
So
perfect sense as to why they're so
they
bloody similar.
really do look alike. Yeah. They
Yeah.
really do. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that does make sense. That's fair enough. But yeah, I thought the cast in the young ones. So one of the things I saw, and again, the box ticking thing, is a lot of people saw their relationship as romantic, kind of repressed romantic. I didn't.
No.
I saw it as family.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I could get proven wrong, but I didn't see it myself. So I did see a lot of comments like that. Oh, bloody hell, turning this character. I was like, I didn't see that. No.
No.
They grew up together. I think they grew up like they were sisters. I think there's even a scene where they say that to each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, so no, I thought that was odd. I thought that was an odd take, but again, I've had this before with a different franchise where I've made that and people went mental at me. It's like, how dare you say that? They're clearly in love. Like, whoa, okay. God, I'm sorry.
No, don't,
Yeah,
no, I didn't get that from this at all. It's childhood best friend. You always have a very different relationship with your childhood best friend.
yeah,
Um, even myself with mine, you would do anything and you would protect them in any way, shape or form, and you almost kind of compartmentalize what's going on in your life to protect them. So I get it,
yeah,
but she was hurt. But
yeah,
it was Maya that hurt Bonnie.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, she did punch her in the face at one point. That was
Did punch her in the
yeah.
face, which I thought was, I'd probably punch my childhood best friend in the face if I
Oh,
had
I
to.
have. I've punched my childhood best friend in the face, and he's punched me several times. So, over the years, and probably justified on all sides at the time.
But I mean, to protect her from danger, wouldn't
Oh
just
no, this was just we
willingly punch her
really,
in the
we just
face.
literally annoyed each other to the point we had to hit each other on certain times. Yeah, that's
I
life.
I did cut half her little finger off in the door when I was about 5 because she annoyed me and I was trying to keep her out of my nan's house, and I slammed the door and cut the end of her finger.
Wow.
If you speak to her, she'll tell you the story
I
gladly.
would like to think that that gets brought up a lot. I'd like to
It
think
does.
any time that you slightly, it's like, well, there was that time you did this. Oh, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, she was being a knobhead that day, so I can
Well, yes, that's a technical term from Bristol for anyone
do
not savvy. So yeah, I mean, I don't see the show because the kind of episodes all kind of blended in. I think they're all being released together. You kind of watched them all. I don't really have anything else I wanted to pick out. I've kind of touched on all the areas I really wanted to kind of cover. Are there parts of it that you really wanted to sort of focus on?
Well, I mean, the scene at the roller rink,
Yeah.
the relationship with her uncle, um,
Yeah.
so that took me a little minute to kind of comprehend actually what their relationship was.
Yeah.
But when I understood the relationship with him between him and her dad,
Yeah.
and the history with that, I thought that was really important. And the fact that he kind of stepped back and said, no, I'm not getting involved, and then the second that he realized that she needed help, he was absolutely there.
Yeah. He
um
took out the Welsh guy though. Were you all right with that? I mean, that's
yeah, that was totally deserved.
yeah.
And
Oh.
the biscuits, her relationship with
Biscuits.
biscuits, oh my lord.
See, I felt that was a little bit manipulative. I thought poor Biscuits was too easily led, and I felt she took advantage of poor Biscuits.
He was, but again, it's that childhood relationship of,
Mm.
God, I'm gonna do what you need me to do. And he was there, the poor dog in the back of that van when he was chasing the train,
Oh
um was
God.
quite funny.
Well, yeah, I mean that was quite funny, but yeah, I feel for Biscuit. I feel like he got kind of he got a bit shat on. He's there having to sell his PlayStation or whatever it was to fix.
To fix the car.
She didn't even
Yeah,
offer. She didn't even
yeah.
offer. And she didn't even steal anything. She just wanted to blow something up, which was kind of cool. Because I thought she nicked something. I thought that's what she was doing. And
I
then
did,
and
I
then
did.
boom! I was like,
Yeah,
wow, okay, you went the other way.
yeah. But she genuinely thought she was just gonna disarm the whole Fisk enterprise
Yeah.
by doing that, not really knowing that he was still
No.
here.
Yes, which yeah, she was making a power play. I mean, that's the other thing that's kind of interesting. When this show starts, she's making a power play. She wants to
Mm.
be queen.
Yeah.
She's not a goodie. She is literally
No.
he's a bad guy. I'm worse, and I'm gonna take the power now. I've killed him.
Yeah,
Um,
but the whole point of this story, I think, was to kind of unpick that. And
yeah.
actually, she's got far different priorities now. Maybe it's not gonna, I don't know. Are we gonna get a season 2? I don't know. I would quite happily watch another
Again,
one.
I don't know, and that's kind of a question that I guess this is a good way to end. Actually, this is a perfect discussion to end on. I don't know where they're going with these because I'll give you an example of another show, Moon Knight.
Mm.
Moon Knight was phenomenal, a massive smash hit. Everyone wants more, and
Yeah.
they've done nothing with it. He's not cropped up in anything. He's not rumored to be in anything. There has been a massive amount of stuff about, oh yeah, they're about to announce a Moon Knight season 2, but it's still not been confirmed. So you kind of look at the stuff they've already put out, and you look at it and go, She-Hulk. This is one of my favorite things that a lot of people don't realize. She-Hulk in the ratings actually did brilliantly, because a lot of people who were just casual thought it was hilarious.
I loved it.
I thought it was hilarious.
One of my
And I will
things.
say this to people as well. I rewatched it recently. It's funnier than I remembered, and I remember laughing a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think the first time you watch it, you don't know what it is, and you're watching it expecting it to be this MCU thing, Hulk's in it, all this stuff, and perhaps you're a little bit, you don't quite just realise it's a comedy. It's set in the MCU, but it's a fourth wall breaking. Let's laugh at ourselves a little bit. Let's have some fun at our own expense.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And when you watch it again, it is very funny. It's actually very good. There are some lines in it which I think I completely missed the first time around that are like, oh, wow, you said that. And so, yeah, I'd encourage anyone to watch that again. It is very funny. But that did great. And there's been no hint of a season 2 of that, even though Kevin Feige went on record saying it was one of his favourite projects because it was so funny, and it was them poking fun at themselves. He was like, the writer's room were literally, I wrote that in the original film, I want to have a pop at it because now I look at it and I think, that's a bit clunky, let's tear that up. So they it's weird to me that they don't kind of, when you look at episodic TV, you get season renewals, and even on Netflix, Amazon, Apple TV, these things, you get a season, and then you'll hear within a couple of months if it's been renewed or not, because obviously they need that time to film the next one.
Yeah.
So it's odd. It's odd the way they do it. I don't know where I'd like to see her again, whether it's season 2 focusing on that area with all those characters we've just introduced, or whether we do just treat this as her origin now. She is Echo. And then where do we see her? Does she go back to that New York street level? I don't think so, for me. I think Fisk has gone back there. I think you leave Fisk now to Daredevil, if that makes sense. I'd like it if that is done. So for you, would you like to see a season 2 set where she is with these characters we've just established, perhaps trying to protect that kind of area from, there's plenty of threats you could create, or do you see her perhaps rejoining or moving forward into sort of joining a team at some point, or being somewhere else? You could easily, the motorbike aspect, have her a bit kung fu, walk the earth town to town, putting right what went wrong, that could work.
Yeah, I think she would fit quite nicely into kind of more of an ensemble kind of cast, like you say, going back to New York and but still having that familial kind of link and keeping that in aspect into it, because I quite like it. If I had to choose, one to get another series, I think it'd be She-Hulk, to be honest, just because it was so funny. But I like the character, and I like what she kind of represents, and I like the fact that she's deaf. And I saw one woman, bloody hell, the comment on a post on Facebook, well, I didn't like that they used ASL because I had to read the screen. Oh, you stupid. Honestly, the woman, the comments replying to her were outstanding.
Hopefully lots of sign language being used.
It was a great joy, a good 20 minutes of reading the comments back to this woman.
There's always
going to be one, but I don't want that to be the end. Again, it's bringing this kind of thing into the mainstream, and I really like that, and it'd be a shame to miss an opportunity, but I think it would be good for her, as I said, to go back to New York and be part of that world.
For me, I've kind of just sold myself on this. Do you remember the Incredible Hulk TV series from the 80s? It was literally like he'd go town to town, because he was so worried about being angry, and he'd like solve problems. And so for me, that's it. Now stick my on her motorbike, roaming around areas of America we don't normally see in TV shows, like Show us these Native American reservations. Show us these townships, all the stuff. Talk about it. Let's learn about their lives and the different tribes that still exist and the ones that don't exist.
Yeah.
And have her go from these place to place and using these abilities that she's got, these empathic kind of, to bringing out stuff and, dealing with the local idiots, there's a local sheriff who's corrupt, there's a local this, episode, and tell an episode by episode story. And let us enjoy a 40-minute beginning, middle, and end, and she gets on her bike. That's the end scene of every episode.
I mean, she's not going to go and save the world necessarily, but she'll save somebody's world.
A little, yes, that's the line.
Done it.
Kaylee's done the marketing, people. Marvel, are you listening? She's not saving the world, but she's saving someone's world. Maya, stay. I can't. I gotta keep moving on. And then the littlest hobo music kicks in. Oh, the place, keep on calling me. Down the road is where I'll always be. No, I think I've gone too far.
That's enough.
I went too far. Yeah. Damn it. If I sung it in a Welsh accent, you would have liked it.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, hello, Kaylee. How are you doing? See? Tom Jones here. That show used to be The Voice. Was on. Tom Jones, one of the judges. I have no idea if it's still on. I can actually do his I can do his inflection on that. I used to sing with Elvis, and when we do that, we do a duet to that song. You see, I was in the room when he wrote that. And my daughter used to sit there just killing herself laughing. It's like, oh my god, you said that, and then 10 minutes later he did it. I was like, he's at an age I can predict him now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is our show. I like Kaylee. I'll be interested to see what they do next. I'd probably go a slightly different way to you. You're kind of send her back to New York, but with these powers, I'm kind of no, town to town. I want Littlest Hobo style, Littlest Maya. But yeah, no, I think it's talking it out. I kind of feel like actually, I did enjoy the show. I think up to this point, I was still in that. Did I not like it, or was it just my expectations were subverted, to something else? And I think I did enjoy it.
Good.
And you will enjoy Daredevil.
Okay, I will try again. I think I'm halfway through episode 4.
We're gonna discuss this. This is gonna be a thing. Every podcast, you watch any more yet? It's gonna be good.
Okay, all right.
By the Christmas special, people. That's my goal. But yeah, so a massive thank you to everybody for listening, everybody for continuing to send in their messages. We had a lot of feedback to the Marvel What If show that we did, me and Stefan. I really appreciate it. Most people were kind of on board with us with this kind of like, I don't know what they're doing. So they have got a season 3 of that, so hopefully they do know what they're doing. But yes, we will be back talking the next Marvel project, but currently the strangest thing is there isn't one announced. And it's the first, someone pointed this out on Twitter, and it's the first time in 3 years no one knows what's next. Technically, it's the summer and Deadpool 3. But this will be the longest they've gone without any Marvel Disney Plus cinematic release content since Disney Plus launched.
Oh.
It's very strange. It's very odd. So nobody knows. But we are waiting. We shall keep our eyes peeled, find out when it is. The Daredevil Born Again series obviously does tie to this with Kingpin. The after credit scene ties to it quite strongly. But even that was slated to be released this year. There is a rumour that's being moved due to the reshoots. So again, we shall keep your eyes on our socials. We will post every bit of information once it's confirmed. We try not to post the rumours because there's millions of them every day, and they're all new, and then they change. Yeah. But yeah, Kaylee, say goodbye to all the lovely people.
Goodbye, lovely people.
We will be back very soon.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.